All right, guys, so this is our next project for the day. It's an auger. This one here suffered a little bit of a boo-boo. Pressed down a little bit too hard and it folded that up. Folded up the flighting. Ooh, I need to check and see if they want me to replace that too. But either way, that's our job for the day. Our initial job was going to be to show this guy right here. These shank removals. Sometimes these corner ones are a little bit tougher than the normal ones, and so I thought I'd show you guys how to do that one. This one, it looks like they ran it without the tooth on it, and it kind of wore it out, so now it's never tight. Looks like they put some weld bead around here as well, so that guy's gonna come off. This is a Strickland bucket, so we picked up a couple of these shanks right here, these guys. So that'll be next, hopefully next in the timeline. We'll have to see. So this one is next right now. I came in a hot job. Customer called me and said, hey, can you fix it right away? So they are here. Unfortunately, they didn't get to clean it as well as they could. I ended up washing it here, but that's okay. We only need to worry about this part. So let me get this stood up and see what we can do to straighten that out. Under more inspection, we noticed that this side was cracked as well. They got some cracks all along here, and so that's something else we're gonna have to take care of. One of the things I was measuring initially was from this point to the ground. The box normally is put on fairly square to the shaft, so I've been measuring the height of these. It's pretty close, and so I noticed that this one obviously was a lot taller in the sense than this guy over here because of this crack. It's almost a 3/8 difference or so. And while that doesn't seem like much, that will make a difference as far as that side doing more of the work than this side. Now, believe it or not, this is one of the augers that I did work on many years ago. I may have a video on it, I'm not quite sure. But this flighting was further up here, somewhere in this general area. And I cut it all back and I put all these teeth new. If you notice here, this one's got 4 teeth on this side and only 3 teeth on this side. That's because of the stagger that I have between each of the teeth, and so they're not cutting in the same circle, to say. So it's a very effective way of making these things dig more efficiently instead of just cutting rings. And some of the limestone out here is really hard, to where if this tooth is running on the same circular circumference or same diameter as this side, well, then it's just sitting and just creating rings, and it scores the rock instead of breaks up the rock. But here, in this instance, it'll cut with this line and it'll leave a peak, and then the other tooth over here will cut that one, and it just makes it really effective. So anyway, I mean, we're here now, right? This thing's broken. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and gouge all that out as best I can. I may end up just continuing this cut way back up to here somewhere, so that I can fold that guy easier without having to put a lot of pressure with a jack or heating it up. It's easier to weld than to try and heat up this whole thing and hammer or bend physically, you know, by mechanical or hydraulic pressing. So just cut it, you freeze it up, make it so easy, then just weld it back up. You know, a little bit easier that way. Less heat input, less waste of gas, more waste of wire, but it's overall quicker. Ooh, I may have to change those guys out too. Look at that. Okay, so we got a little bit of work on this thing, and you know, I'll just stop yapping and start working. Let me get set up for that. Now for cutting this, I'm just going to use a regular old torch. Now if anybody knows anything about anything, torches and dirt don't like each other, and so it's just not going to be fun in general. They've never really worked well together. I do have the option of using my plasma cutter, but it too doesn't like dirt, of course, naturally, and so the arc would probably be wandering all over the place, and I don't know if it'll have the power to push through what looks to be about 1.5 inches of material. So that option is out for the moment. So what I'll end up trying to do is just using the torch along the one edge and try to cut some clearance. I'm going to cut some clearance to where I can create a little bit of a void, knock that dirt out, and that'll allow me to flex this piece back into position. So you know, again, it's not going to be fun but it is what it is. All right. Ah, come on. So here we can see that I cut out it almost seems a little excessive. Let's see, where's my flashlight? But it allows me room to be able to flex this point upwards like that. Now, how I'll do that is I'll put a tack right there, a really hot tack to hold it in place. And all I have to do is heat this spot up here and slowly crank that up to where it needs to be. The crack was already coming down in this general direction already, possibly to about right in this area. So, you know, what's another 1.5 inches or so? So that looks good there. Now underneath, I forgot to clean the dirt off, so I had some little scarfing that happened. But overall, pretty decent cut. I kind of tried to put the bevels on the both sides from the top. I ended up pointing my torch that way to try to cut a bevel. Now the bottom side doesn't look like it's got a lot of bevel, but that's because when we fold this up, it's going to open the bottom side a little bit. So this will work here. This bevel here will close up. Currently it is roughly about a 1/2 inch wide or so. And it'll probably close up to about 7/16 or 3/8, and the bottom side will open up to what we need. So I'll do the same principle to this guy over here. This guy may be a little bit more challenging because, if you can tell, this weld penetrated pretty good and it grabbed this piece of material and it tore it away from it. But still, what I can do is just cut through here and it'll cut this little section off, and I can kind of follow this crack as it goes down. It looks like it comes to about right there, but at least where I can feel it. So I'll do the same principle and come out to about here, fold this guy up, weld it up. It should be good. Removing this weld, this V part of the weld, it's no big deal. I mean, it's almost as if I just put a brand new pocket. It's a similar process. So filling it up won't hurt. Same thing over here. I'll probably cut some good gap, so at least I can flex it the way I need, and then I can just fill it up. I mentioned earlier that I would probably stick weld this. I might not overall. I'll probably use the MIG to kind of fill in those gaps where I can. But who knows, maybe I'll finish it out with a stick welder. Might be kind of cool. Look, so you can see some of the stick welding pattern. Okay, let me get set up to do this side as well. Okay, that's about as good as it's gonna get. This one might be a little excessive, but that's what we have the MIG for, right? And just pour it in there and it'll be fine. So I think we're good on that. The one thing I'll need to take care of is this. I'll do that one afterwards. Sometimes what happens is the heat will expose other cracks. So maybe that crack is a little bit longer than I expect right now. So that'll be fine. So I can put a little tack here, heat this up, tap it up, get the same height. Same thing, this is our hinge point. Put a big weld, big tack weld right there somewhere. I might even be able to close these up just a little bit, just to help us. And then of course we're gonna make sure we got the same measurement off of the stem, like this, as to the other side. So that should be okay. Let me see how this one come out. Came out all right. I kind of did a bevel on both sides. I put a bevel on it from that side. Might be a little much, but that's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, this looks like a lot of trash in there. I'll need to get that out. A lot of slag before I continue. So let me clean all that up without, filming, it, and then we'll get to tacking those corners like I mentioned. Now that I got that tack in place, that's going to create the hinge mechanism for me lifting this side above this side. Now as I measured this height to the bottom, it looks to be fine. I don't remember exactly what it was when I first redid these, but it's at a specific number now, so I'm going to go ahead and just weld this one up as it is and move this one to match that one. It's about 3/8 of an inch off difference, so I think I'll go ahead and weld this first, see how much that pulls, and then I can match this one to it within the 1/8 of an inch or so, and it'll pull as well. So let me put a little root pass in here and start filling it up. It's looking all right. Got a little low spot there, but I'll fill that up. So far so good. I may just go ahead and MIG weld it all the way out. It's just so much faster. I thought I would stick weld it, but nope. Same thing here. If you notice, some of the welds sounded kind of ugly. It's because it's burning off all this torch slag and junk and dirt that's in there. And you know, if you're able to hold a weld puddle there long enough, it'll eventually burn it out. And sometimes you have to pulse it to where that puddle that you do attach cools off, and then add another dot and another dot. You know, keep building it up, because sometimes you add too much, it just drip on you and fall right out, and just a mess. But the joys of welding through dirt, that kind of stinks. So yeah, I'm gonna try and fill up this side in here, get it real close to the last pass. And similar to that side, I'll get it real close to the last pass, and that way when I do my final cover pass, it'll look real uniform and nice. So let me weld up on this side. How's that for long arcing it? That was crazy. The wire was sticking out about 1.5 inches. Okay, keep going. Saw a pinhole right there. Golly. Okay, so looks all right. Had a little bit of a porosity there. I guess maybe the breeze come by or wrong angle or something, but that's gonna have to do. That'll be fine. Now the next step will be to just measure from here to see the height difference from there to there, and try and make a match. I welded this side the best I could. Nope. Trying to get my flashlight again. No, the battery's dying. So that should be pretty good. It should hold well, and then from when I turn it over, I'll just weld against that face. So this side will be done. Now let me go ahead and heat this little area here and kick that up to match that, and we'll be good. Crazy battery died, but you saw the process. It actually worked pretty good. It just slowly crept up that part to where we need it. I measured it's like within a 1/16, so that's gonna be good enough. It turns out, unfortunately though, I am not to replace these pockets as of yet. Doesn't make sense. Customer doesn't want me to change them, so it is what it is. So anyway, okay, next step is to go ahead and fill that gap up, start welding on it, and basically finish all this side so I can flip it over and then just finish out welding the inside of this crack in there. I have to clean it off a little bit, of course, but that's not so bad. Looking pretty good. This one came out okay, I guess, as well. All right, more welding. Oh, and my other camera, my welding camera, or the one I used to film, is not acting right. Something's going on with it, so I was hoping to show a little bit more welding so you can see the pattern, but I may have to buy another camera. So if you have any camera suggestions, let me know. I think there's a 360 something camera that works pretty good. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's weld it. Decently smooth. We got some a lot of dirt poured out of there, but that's okay. Just keep filling it up. So far so good. Kind of beat it up with the needle scaler, but that's fine. I don't know if I should try and run 2 small weaves, or see if I can try and pull off just the one. The auger naturally slopes that way, so a lot of the weight of the weld will be leaning that way. So it's just for fun, you know, try to see if I can control the puddles where it comes out evenly all the way across the flat and kind of transition this way. So maybe I'll do it. You know, there's nothing really critical, right? To say like, you know, somebody's gonna be inspecting this, just, you know, say, oh, you put too wide a weave. It's just good practice. So let's see if I can control that puddle so where it doesn't sag to that side, and see if we can make it somewhat even just with one pass. Big old tractor weld. Well, it sort of worked. A little bit high here. About 1/8 of an inch high. It looks really high. It's pretty high. Let's see. Can you see? It's all right. It'll work. But basically, what I was doing, I think I was doing a long triangle and then doing like a letter D, and then like that. Build up on the high side and then just drag it down so it touches this edge. So build up on the high side and then kind of roll in front of it so that you don't create too big a bulge back here. Go ahead of it and just do another circle, a D, something like that. I don't know. You have to kind of figure it out as you go, because the weld puddle's doing different things as it's solidifying and going. You know, it's a slightly different change of elevation. so it acts differently in each situation. So that is that. Did I finish this? I didn't clean that, but yeah. All right, this is done. I'll flip it over. Weeks, no, I need to take care of this. Take care of that, then I'll flip it over. You know, this guy's leaking too. Hold on. All right, got a little bit of gouge in there. You can start seeing where the center little bubble right on the edge of that. That'll be good enough. Just, now that it's preheated, it should stick really well. It's nice and hot. So let me weld that up and then we can flip it over. All right, as you can see here, you can kind of see some of the beveling that I did from the opposite side, and you can see some kind of Dunkin' nuts that poured out from this side. Some of those will be okay, and I only say that because I'm going to set this machine on hot, like almost a spray hot, so it'll just pour and melt all that in there. But what's nice is that, you know, you can see that it did penetrate at least halfway, right from the bottom this way. So now I just got to pour it in from there upwards. Some of these spots down here are a little tighter. This one over here I will end up opening up a little bit because that's just too tight, and I won't be able to put a good weld in there. So that'll I'll cut open. This side I'll cut open as well. This is the side that I didn't bend, so that side didn't open up for me like that. So I'll use the torch scarfing tip to kind of just clean one side up and kind of create a bevel. You know, I'm most likely going to shoot all that junk that way, but I have a needle scaler that of course will get all that out. So it's getting there, real close. At least maybe I can touch those with the scarfer also, just clean all that junk up a little bit. But we're getting real close to almost 100% weld. So once we do that, then it'll last a long time. So let's see about cleaning or creating a bevel with a scarf tip. Now I know I got it backwards. I should turn it the other way to make it easier, but I don't want to. So just do that. Works the same. Okay, so I know you can see a lot of that, which is understandable because it's really tight in here. But I got rid of as much of the penetrating weld from this top side as I could, and it's rather flat. Right, you do see some wagon tracks there, but as with anything else, you can run a hot pass to say, and it'll burn all that out. Right, so I got rid of the major lumps. And I got nice little bevel, and so here we are. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and put a big hot pass, like I mentioned, going uphill direction so that I can burn a lot of that out. So let's get set up this way around here, do the pulse welds all the way up there and go up that way. Same thing with this one. This one came out pretty good too. I had my flashlight on me for a second. Same with this one here. I've got to blow it out. Of course, a lot of dirt fell in there. A lot of that dirt, but we'll get that knocked out. That's hot. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're coming along nicely, right? It's filling in slowly but surely. This one was a little bit tougher. I mean, it's not the prettiest right there. I guess the shadows don't help it either. But it's in there. Let me see. It's in there. Repair welds, repair work is always different than, you know, stuff in the shop, or not saying in the shop because I'm in a shop. But repair welds are more difficult than fabricating new things. And so, you know, they're not always pretty. They're not always the nicest, but they will work. So long as you follow a pretty decent repair procedure, to say you try to get 100% into the broken parent metal, then you'll be good. I mean, look at this. It's, you know, these aren't that good. I mean, good looking. It's tough, right? So, I'm not doing anything any more special than anybody else. Like I say, just follow a decent repair procedure of your own, and it should last. So, I lowered the machine back down a little bit because that was hot. I could see it boiling out some of those things that were in there, which is good, right? So now it's a matter of finishing that up. So let's go ahead and knock this side out, and then we can work on that side. Well, it turns out I didn't have the camera on video. I had it on picture, so I took a picture of this weld from this distance. Silly. Either way, this is done. It is what it is, right? This came out all right. This side's all right. Just tried to carry the weld this side. You can tell it's off center a little bit. It'll work, right? Okay, so now turns out this filled up plenty fine there. Now I just have to weld from this back side of that adapter pocket right in there, and weld from there from there this way. So that'll be, I say easy enough, but not really, because it's a little tighter spot than that. So hopefully the camera won't shut off on me again, because it shut off because of the heat. This is the second time. It's not even hot, but it is humid. So enough jibber jabber, and just finish this out so we can go get a lunch. Well, okay. Well, that looks like that'll do it. Got this guy welded up in there. This guy welded up in there. Yeah. It's alright, right? It'll hold. It's not gonna come off. Okay, so hopefully you guys learned something from it. It was a pretty straightforward repair. Really feel bad that the customer didn't want me to go ahead and replace these while I was here. It's like, it's right here, I can do it. But I guess their guys are cheaper than I am, so I understand. They are going to struggle to get past this hard surfacing though. That is no fun. But anyway, that is not up to me anymore. So thanks for watching. I guess if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe and all that jazz. You know, it doesn't hurt, and it'll really help support the channel, so I appreciate it. So again, I hope you learned something, and I guess we'll catch you guys on the next one.